Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR477. It's WWE United Champions 2023. But I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show. It is, of course, the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hey. Happy weekend, everyone. It's going well, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. A little bit nervous. There is so many prediction points on the line over these kind of next three shows that I'm kind of bricking it a little bit, but hopefully everything will be fine. And it's going to be the first show that we've had the team together in a while, so it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. So there'll be ups and downs probably throughout the show, so stick with us.
Yeah, definitely downs. Anyway, up next and up is our resident NXT expert and New Japan deity. It is, of course, Monty. How you doing, man? You've got some news as well, I do believe.
Yes. I am a fresh papa. My daughter was born on May 23rd, 2023, 4:43 p.m. My life changed. So, yeah, I'm here. I'm a new fresh papa. In between changing diapers and filling up bottles and parent stuff. I found a way to still watch wrestling. I don't know how. I don't know how this is going to continue either, but I'll keep doing my best.
Well, congratulations. And like I said, round of applause from the entire team. Our first WNR baby, everybody. That's what's about.
Yes.
We have brought life.
Eden says hello.
Yeah, Monty has brought
Congratulations, Monty.
Thank you. I'm taking a bow. You can't see it.
See, told everybody Monty not being here was good news instead of bad. No one's got faith in me, Everybody's like, no, you fucked it. He's left.
Lost another hole.
See, told you I'm bad at losing
I'm
things.
very much still here.
Yeah. Well, Monty, just remember, a father holds his daughter's hand for a short while, but he holds her heart forever. So, like I said, it's the start of a beautiful relationship. Right,
yes, I love it.
That's a schmuzz out of the way because I'm just about to introduce our next one.
I might tear up.
Yeah.
Wonder which Father's Day card you read that out of.
Speaking as a daughter, I hands on my heart can say that is the truth. You will always be her hero in her eyes. So enjoy it, Monty.
No pressure.
Yeah. Shout out to our Papa Smurf who put up with us too.
Well, all four of our siblings, definitely.
Yeah. Well, last but by no means least, you've already heard it, but here we go. Baby shark do 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 do, baby shark do 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 do, baby shark do 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 do, baby shark. Monty's daddy shark do 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 do, daddy shark do 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 do, daddy shark do 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 do, daddy shark. Gina's shark do 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 do, Gina shark do 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 do, Gina shark do 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 do, Gina shark. It's Gina, everybody. How you doing, Gina? Let me catch my breath back.
Let's just all say, hey, what it do, team? And the baby song was more for relation for Monty, not for me. Just to clarify that.
Yes,
but hey, team, what it do?
A shark was called Gina. Thank you very much. I did put quite a bit of work into it. I'm not.
Okay, I appreciate being called a shark. I appreciate it, James. Okay. Very much appreciated.
This is not just thrown together, right? It's hours of preparation goes into this. Right? I don't just put this on and just come up with anything, all right?
She's showing her teeth.
Sure.
Anyway, it's glad to have you on board. And like I said, we've got the whole team here. And what a show we have today. Night of Champions 2023. But before that, I just want to kind of look at something. And I know everybody's thinking, what are you talking about, James? I want to talk about Gladiators. Just quickly and just honestly, just go with this. Because they are rebooting Gladiators. I'm sure, you guys have heard of Gladiators. For me, it would be the 90s one. But I think they did reboot it a few years ago. Of course, we all know about that. People like Wolf and,
The 90s one. I was a fan of the 90s one for sure.
Yeah. So we all know. So they've rebooted it, and you always think with Gladiators. I'm just going to run through the names because the names are always quite interesting. We've had people like Shadow and Wolf and Jet and Lightning and all the good ones. So here we go. So we've got Athena Hang on a minute. Isn't Athena already taken? But no, Gladiators is kind of allowed to do that. We've got Fire, which I guess always works. Viper. Now, come on. Isn't that a little bit gimmick infringement, or are we allowed to do that? I'm not really sure. Sabers, not a bad one. Steel. Phantom, I can understand that. Legend, I don't really think we need that. Nitro. You're just taking that from. We all know where that name's come from. You got Fury, Diamond, Bionic. Again, I'm not a huge fan. Comet, Electro, Dynamite. What are they doing here? You know, not just Nitro, but take Dynamite as well. Giant, which again, he doesn't look like the Giant to me. And Apollo. I mean, original names, I suppose. But I mean, Monty. I bet you can't wait for the new Gladiators. I mean, what is it with those names?
I don't. You know what? They're continuing the tradition. You know, you gave some good examples at the beginning. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's very, very funny. Just how much I was drawing as you were going down the list. I was drawing parallels to wrestling just every time you went. And I noticed you didn't want a legend, but come on now, come on, we got Last Legend, man. Well, you don't need to talk about Gladiators when you got Last Legend. That's why I just wanted to mess with you. I know you don't like Last Legend.
Yeah, she is my Von Wagner.
And then you got Greek gods, and so Athena, you got Apollo, that makes sense. So I'm not really surprised. But yeah, cool. But, hey, let's go. I was a fan of the 90s, but I was also very, very young. So I just remember, big people doing athletic things and horrible 90s haircuts. So, yeah.
Yeah, or what I call it, a haircut. You see, there's a difference
right
between both. But I thought, just in case people think, and they have moaned about names in wrestling before, with certain names like J.D. McDonough or even Von Wagner, there is what's out there when it comes to Gladiators. And I thought it'd be a little palate cleanser to get us ready for the main event, which is, of course...
Dewdrop. Just one name.
Should have went with Dewdrop.
Yeah, to be fair. I mean, what's worse? What's better? Dewdrop or any of the Gladiators' names? Like, what would you... Yeah, exactly. It's there is some
Can
there.
you imagine being a gladiator called Dewdrop? Oh, Dewdrop's on there now.
Shorty G. Gladiator's name, Shorty G.
Yeah, Reggie. Work. I'll take Reggie. That would be quite a cool guy.
Just Reggie. Axiom sounds like a gladiator.
Yeah. I hate that name to begin with, but it kind of works. Anyway, so we are talking about wrestling today. Anyway, so Crown Jewel, Saudi Arabia in Jeddah, May 27th. The kickoff in studio was Caleb Braxton, Matt Camp, and Peter Roseberg. Really, really nothing. Then the main show trips with the opening, and it was a nice setting. And of course, Graves and Cole on there. Jaxie, we've talked about Saudi Arabian shows in the past, maybe not being right. But again, you can't argue this felt like a big event, especially with the setting and the kind of way the arena even looked.
Yeah, I think you said Crown Jewel rather than Night of Champions, but yeah, definitely.
Know what I mean. I'm not.
No, for some reason this event did feel a little bit different to probably all of the Saudi Arabia events that we've had there so far. I'm not quite sure kind of what felt different, even just kind of going into the beginning of Night of Champions. But yeah, I think it probably had something to do with that, a lot to do with the time invested in the storylines going into each match, the anticipation for those matches coming up, but just also the setting. It was you can't deny how beautiful some of those shots were that they showed throughout the beginning of the show. It looked absolutely beautiful there.
Yeah, and like you said as well, the last couple of Saudi shows have actually mattered rather than just kind of being either like weird legend matches or just stuff kind of put together. Yeah. And then especially with this one, I mean, the first match of the night was what many people thought should have been in the main event, with Seth Rollins and AJ Styles battling in the final round for the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, Gina, should this be the main event? I know it started the show, but I mean, a lot of people were upset about this. Were they right to be?
Yes and no. To be honest, like, I get it. It's crowning a new champion. You would have thought that would have been the last thing, but there were other factors that you had to take into consideration here. I'm not sure if it's true, but I heard that Seth had to kind of leave as early as possible because he had to go and continue filming for Captain America. So I heard that that was one of the reasons why it was the first match. But also, even though, again, this was a great match between the two, and we'll talk about the match when we actually get to it, this match didn't really have a lot of storyline behind it apart from crowning a new champion. Whereas, aside from the Ali match, the rest of the matches on the cards had deep storyline investment into it. So, and you can't tell me that people were upset with the final, with what happened in the main event either. So, in all honesty, if you had flipped it around and made that world championship the last match, would it have been as eventful if the main segment of Night of Champions actually was at the beginning of the show? Would it have felt as impactful to have Seth be crowned at the end of all of that, or vice versa, you know?
No,
And so
I know
for
what you're
me,
saying, yeah.
in the end, I think it makes sense that it was the first match on the card, especially if Seth really did have to go due to filming. That made all the sense in the world. If that wasn't true and he was still backstage throughout the whole night, maybe they could have made it a double main event or something, but I just don't think that it would have been able to have followed well from what we got as the main event.
Yeah, I think, like I said, bloodline trumps all. You know, it's like, yes, no, this is really important, but we're telling a kind of bigger story as well. And speaking of reactions, both men got great reactions with Seth Rollins arriving, so the fans in the Jeddah Superdome could sing his music for a long, long time. They took their time making contact, but once they did, Styles now runners with a drop kick and sent him out of the ring. Visually avoided a slingshot forearm and smiled at his opponent. He taunted the Phenomenal One for taking him down with a sling blade. And for the first several minutes, this was a competitive back and forth contest. Once Rollins ran Styles' face in the middle turnbuckle, he started to gain some momentum. Styles hit a backflip DDT, but only kept Rollins down momentarily. Visually recovered and hit a buckle bomb, followed by a frog splash for two. It was at this point where both men started breaking out the big moves in an attempt to put each other away. And Monty, don't you love these type of matches where you realise kind of it's building, and then you start seeing certain moves? It's like the Phoenix Splash from Seth, and you're going, oh, this is going to be special.
Right. You know what? Because again, that's the thing about these two guys. They're so established already, and we know what they can bring in this format, one-on-one, big matches. So when they start to bring out some of the bigger moves that you know and that you recognize from the many years of watching AJ, the many years of watching Seth now, you can tell that it was just building to a wonderful crescendo. So yeah, they're just two pros, man. They know how to build it up and get you invested.
Without shadow of a doubt, Rollins appeared to land hard on his knee during the suicide dive, so Styles locked in the calf crusher when he got back in the ring. Rollins countered a phenomenal forearm with a super kick, but his knee buckled when he went for the stomp. He was able to hit a pedigree before finally hitting the stomp for the pin and the win. Your new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins, and just like old times, Triple H presented him with the belt at the end. So, Gina, you can start us off with this one. What do you think of the opening matchup?
Why are you starting with me?
Because I'm going to give you the main event as well. So this is
Great.
I've worked it out in my head,
Okay.
and you haven't had a main event.
Okay.
If people listen to the pod, they will work out. The last one I think was Jaxie, and the one before was Monty. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Is it really? I've never noticed. To be honest,
I know it's crazy.
No, the match was fire. It was so good. It was a great way to start off the show, to be honest, because everyone was lit. They were lit from just the entrances. That entrance was so loud. Like, I can't imagine how loud it was in the actual stadium. But yeah, it was a great first match, to be honest. I think both of them wrestled so well. I kind of went more with my heart and who I wanted to win rather than thinking logically, and I just thought, I'll back the guy that I want to win more than who I think actually will get this, just because of certain standards in place. But yeah, I still enjoyed the match, and it just kept me on edge throughout it.
Yeah, and didn't AJ's hair look great? I know we're here to talk about the wrestling, but he looked like a lion.
AJ's hair always looks great, though. It does.
And he
And
knows
I
how to
even said
flip
to
it,
my
doesn't
sister,
he?
if he cuts off his hair, he would just become no one. No offense. But he is like, he's like one of those guys you just cannot touch his hair, really. It's the main part about him.
I haven't seen as good as hair flipper as Shawn Michaels with AJ Styles. The way he just sticks his head down in the
I want
hair.
him to do the aerial hair flip, you know, the Little Mermaid hair flip. I want him to do that.
But this is the thing, isn't it? What happens when you put two of the best to do it in a ring together? You do get magic. And like Monty said, you're pulling the moves out as well. I mean, Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this? Because for the first match, these two guys kind of wanted to prove as well they should have been in the main event.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I agree a lot with what my sister said at the very beginning in terms of, in terms of making sense of the bloodline storyline and continuing it. I think it definitely wouldn't have had the same impact to end the show. However, they did their utmost best to really just open the show with a bang. This not only got the crowd that, they're live in the stadium, but anyone watching from home was probably really just on their feet watching this match, just watching these two veterans go at it. This was thoroughly enjoyable just to watch between the two. I really would have liked AJ to have won because I still believe like he has, a great opportunity to do have another run with the title at least. But I wasn't surprised that they went, with Seth. So yeah, it was a great match though. But the outcome didn't surprise me.
No, I don't think. I mean, but again, Monty, as we said as well with this match, it's like when you got the two guys who are as good as this. And I know a lot of wrestlers. This is a problem now, isn't it? A lot of wrestlers are really good in the ring, but these two are. It's all well good to say it, but they actually are. With this generation and last generation, there's probably no two better.
Yeah.
Is there?
Right. I mean, you can put AJ's track record up against anyone. Like I said, he's done it all, at this point. And and Jaxie mentioned that, he's done it all. He's in his 40s, I put him in. I don't want to say he's like in that Ray and Edge and Randy category, but if you look at his age, he definitely is because he's been doing this a very long time. But it's people who still want to see him on top, see him as world champion. And then Seth Rollins is just on fire. This is probably the hottest he's ever been as far as character work goes, and the ring work has been there for years. So again, like you mentioned, when you have two of the best in the ring, you give them stakes. That's probably why it wasn't much of a story, because they were just banking on the fact we got two pros, we got a new championship. People are gonna love this no matter what if we just give them time to do what they do. That's exactly what happened. Another thing I wanted to mention about Saudi too is those first few shows in Saudi Arabia. It almost felt like some of the crowd was forced to be there, if you see what I'm saying, because they weren't really invested in any of the modern or like the current product, like you mentioned, wanting legends and all of that type of stuff, only popping for that type of thing. With the greatest Royal Rumble comes to mind and all that type of stuff when I think about Saudi Arabia. But like you said, these last few shows, they've done a really good job of really not only giving Saudi Arabia important shows, but now it seems like Saudi Arabia is also into the storylines that they've been with, like we're going to talk about later in the main event. Like that crowd was hot. So again, I got to give them props for being not only a great crowd for this match, but again, you got two pros in there. The only thing I will say about the argument with the main event is I think this is another reason why AJ and Seth wanted to go hard was because they hear the chatter. AJ, like I mentioned before about the fact that this belt is automatically feeling secondary when it comes to what Roman has going on. So that lights a fire under you too. There's like, okay, we're gonna steal the show and they're gonna have to follow this because again, I don't want if I'm Seth Rollins, I don't want my World Heavyweight Championship to automatically be looked at as less than what Roman has. So you have to start off on the right foot. And like I said, two guys better that you trust to give you a really, really good to all-time great level match. And these two are two great examples of it, like you mentioned, James.
Yeah, without a shadow of doubt. And seeing AJ hit a pedigree, which is great. Anyway.
Right, yeah.
Scores. So, Gina out of 5. What would you score this?
I enjoyed the match, and can I also just point out that I really enjoyed the promos that they were putting on the shows, the house shows as well. Just showing us sort of clips of AJ and Seth, and it was really good just to kind of have that reminder. And for those who don't know the wrestlers that well, seeing a bit of their past really helped kind of solidify why these two were in the final match for the belt. But it was a great match overall, and I enjoyed it and thought it was a great opener to the show, and it kind of set a standard for the matches. I gave it a 4.5.
Jaxie, what about you?
Yeah, again, agree with everything that was said. That in some of the promos with Seth, you actually see a very young Seth and a very young AJ, and AJ just talking about where Seth is going to go. It was really well sort of like put together in terms of a package. So I thought this match was great. I also gave it a 4.5.
Monty, what about you?
Yeah, 4.5 is a fair score. I you know, maybe you could push it a little higher, but I think it was a really perfect, almost perfect way to open the show.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll go for 3/4 as well. Really, really good stuff. Predictions, well, the Prediction Leagues 2023. So before Night of Champions, the W Prediction League had James on top with 3, Gina and Monty on 2, and Jaxie on 0. Yet to score for WWE. Bonus League, Jaxie's 9, Gina on 11, Monty 12, I'm on 4, and AEW, James and Monty on 1, Gina, Jaxie on 0. So to start this one, we all went Seth apart from Gina. So unfortunately, Gina on 0. The rest is on 1. And then the second bout of the card was a grub match between Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. I don't know about you guys. So fucking weird to see Trish covered up. I mean, I don't know if it's been ingrained with me since an early age, but everything covered was just like, what? Hey? Like, I don't know. Lynch did look great as the bride from Kill Bill. Like, there's something about Becky Lynch in these moments. Really, really good. But the two former champs didn't waste any time going right at it. They quickly took the fight out of the ring, where the veteran threw Lynch into the steel steps. And for the next few minutes, this match was all Stratus. She spiked the man with a tornado DDT, but failed to keep her down. She started to get vicious by pulling her rival's hair and scraping her face across the mat. Lynch, though, found her second win, started to take control. She hit an exploded suplex and a leg drop for the middle rope for a near fall. She beat a count out and a kick out after a chick kick. They built towards the finish. Stratus was able to get out the disarmer and got a foot on the rope to break the count after a manhandle slam. Zoe Stark then appeared out of nowhere, hit a finisher on Lynch while the ref had his back turned. This allowed Stratus to hit Stratusfaction for the win. Jaxie, what were your thoughts of this?
Yeah, I firstly, kind of weird, like you said, to see Trish dressed up and covered up, but at the same time, I didn't mind it. I thought her outfit looked great. I don't mind that they, respect the traditions that are kind of taught over in Saudi Arabia. So I didn't really have any issues with their attire, and I think they do well to kind of like make it their own and sort of make it the characters that they are. Like you said, Becky's outfit as Kill Bill, there's something iconic about her in that yellow and black attire. So I really liked seeing it again because she did a rendition of that before. So this is sort of another look of that. So I enjoyed that as well. The match was good. I thought it was kind of slow at first to kind of pick up, but I was truly sort of invested in watching, how well Trish is back in the ring and stuff. We saw what she could do against Charlotte. I think that was at Evolution. But I don't think we've actually seen her back in the ring since then. So yeah, really nice to kind of see her back in the ring and just showing off like sort of the heel side of Trish that we all remember from the 90s. So there were some really nice callbacks to kind of like her original character that came out, and that was quite enjoyable. I've got to admit the Zoe Stark interruption came out of nowhere for me, but it really ignited a lot of life into this storyline. And I got to admit, I wasn't really excited upon Zoe's entrance into the main roster. I mean, she kind of squashed Nikki Cross, I think. And it just wasn't impactful, you know, but seeing her actually get involved in this, I immediately kind of became intrigued, you know, like where are things going to go from here? So yeah, I think they did absolutely well with booking this at the end of the match. And I thought all women did really great in this match to really sell it and just, you know, kind of pique everyone's interest.
Yeah, maybe the crowd weren't interested as they should have been, but like you said, this match was better than expected, and Stark being involved should give it a rub. And weirdly enough, we mentioned about Trish. This is her first win since 2006, so it's like one of the first time she actually won. Which again,
well, congrats, Trish. Yeah.
But again, Monty, I mean, you know about Zoe Stark from NXT days. I mean, this is good, isn't it? I mean, you know, the potential anyway.
Yeah, because she's always been great in the ring, and I think we talked about this all the time on NXT. If she have any hole in her game, it's character work, and I think involving her in a storyline like this will give her a basis for more character work. See how well she can play off a legend like Trish. You know, see how well she can work and play off someone like Becky. You know, because again, that's just a big time feud to kind of get pushed into when you think about the names involved. So yeah, I think this is awesome for her in this spot. And again, like you guys mentioned, the match was solid. It was pretty good. I didn't have really any problem with it. Trish's gear was also kind of a callback to her old bodysuit that she used to wear. But like you mentioned, James, she was not like completely covered in the arms or anything, or you know, like she was in this one. So it was kind of a nice infusion of a throwback once again, which Trish did at WrestleMania. So like she's been knocking the gear out of the park, honestly. And again, I can just kind of second you guys with Becky and her gear. But honestly, again, the way this match played out was like you said, a lot better than maybe I was expecting coming in. But that finish definitely shocked me. You know, the thing is, when I was predicting this match, I legitimately remember saying to myself, this does not feel like Trish is just going to go away after this. So, but I still went with Becky because I just, you know, sometimes you go with your gut feeling. Sometimes you gut wrong. But this is really good, though. I had no problem with that, especially with the shock finish. I am also intrigued in where we're going with this. Do Becky, you know, another thing, too, they're using this to now put over a young talent. And that makes this storyline 10 times better, in my opinion, because, you know, with Trish just beating her clean, Trish is a Hall of Famer. What does Trish need to gain from just beating Becky? Wouldn't make sense. But if you incorporate a young person like Zoe Stark, a heel, give her a chance to work and you know, build herself up some more, not only with character but also working with someone like Becky Lynch, it can only be a positive from here. And Trish can stick around, maybe man it, or you know, also continue to wrestle in this feud. But you see what I'm saying? Like this is it just gives everything about this more legs when you incorporate. Because now I'm wondering, do Becky find someone young to, you know, or just anyone to help out, or does she continue to be the lone, you know, awesome wrestler that she has been throughout? So we'll see, you know, or does Lita get incorporated back into this? There's a lot of interesting ways they could go, and I'm interested to see what they decide to do.
I think it's always good when you're asking more questions coming out to it than we were before. And like I said, it's added a lot more light. I mean, Gina, does this get you more invested in the storyline now? Because like we said, Zoe Stark is going to play an interest, and we knew this feud was going to carry on. But now, like we talk about, there is a reason.
Yeah, for sure. I literally was thinking to myself, is Lita going to get involved at the end to help Becky win? But with the Stark interference, I now think that possibly Lita will come back and it'll be two legends paired with two young ones, you know, and giving us maybe a tag match between them all. But I'm glad that they continued the feud, and I thought it was great because I wasn't ready for Trish to go back off the screen. I was happy with her on my screen, so for me, I was happy with it.
Yeah. Oh, scores then. Jaxie, what was your score of this match out of 5?
I gave this a 4.6 because the Zoe involvement definitely just kind of grew my interest into this growing storyline, and I'm intrigued to see where it's going to go.
Yeah, without a doubt. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, I gave it like 3.9.
Gina?
I gave it 4.5.
And I gave it a 4. Really, really good stuff. Predictions? Yes, well, fuck. But I, as Monty did, went for Lynch. Gina and Jaxie went Trish. So at the moment, Jaxie is on 2 and the rest are on 1. As we head to our next match, the Intercontinental title match with Gunther versus Ali. And Mustafa Ali received a very warm reception. We talked about the video packages. There's a video package which was on the press conference re-shown about Ali going to Mecca, which is really, really well done. But as for the match up, and the champion immediately asserted his dominance by throwing Ali to the mat like it was nothing to him. But Ali avoided a chop and hit one of his own. He tried to use his speed to stick a move, and it worked. Well, for a while, but the ring general stopped him in his tracks with a body slam. Ali began to rally after taking a lot of punishment. He hit a tornado DDT, but was able to hit the 450. Gunther drop-kicked him in the corner before powerbombing him to get the win. Monty, and also, not only just your thoughts on the match, but Ali has never won a title in WWE. Not even like the 24/7 championship. That ain't right. But what are your thoughts on this match?
Didn't even win the cruiserweight back in the day when he was. When I think he was the heart. He was the heart of it and didn't even win the cruiserweight. Man, it's sad, but yeah, I think Ali. This match once again proves just how much more he deserves. Like again, he is so much better than just entertaining jobber. That's pretty much the role he's had. He's entertaining. You know the matches can be good if they're going to give him time. He's not just going to get murdered by Bobby Lashley in 30 seconds. But, this is just what he can do. He's always been compelling. Another person that when I think about him, I still think about Cedric Alexander. And he's another guy in the same vein that I know can put on awesome matches. But for some reason, never gets the time, never gets the spotlight. And it's the same thing goes for Ali. So I think a match like this can only make him go up from here, hopefully. And, I know what he's continued to do right after this. But, again, it'll be nice to see. I know he's a free agent, and that doesn't really bode well. Probably won't see a title in his future when you're in the free agent role. I don't think that's really a good sign if you can jump from any show that you're going to actually win any titles.
Don't tell Corbin that.
Yes. Yeah, don't tell Corbin. Exactly. Don't tell Corbin that. But who knows? Who knows what can happen? But I've always loved Ali's work, and I think this is another example of just how good he is. And then again, Gunther, you could put Gunther in the ring with a broomstick, and I swear I watch him break the broomstick in half with chops, and it'll be compelling. Like it's nothing. There's nothing Gunther can't do in the ring. And again, like the formula that he has. Again, the thing is, this is the only thing that's going to go against any Gunther match from now on to me. Until he passes Honky Tonk Man, I will not believe any challenger will have a shot. Like, it's just, they don't have a shot. That's how far away he is. He's literally the closest thing to Roman Reigns at this point to when it comes to, like, Gunther has a match, and it's like, yeah, I don't think I can bet against Gunther. So, like, he's awesome. He's killing it. And this match was a really, really great spectacle, a great Intercontinental Championship match. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, Gina is Monty right. Are we running out of challenges for the Intercontinental title now? Especially for Gunther.
I mean, I definitely agree. To be honest, everything Monty said was on point. It just described everything perfectly. Gunther is a machine. I will pay money to see him versus a broomstick. I will take that. I think he's elevated this belt to be bigger than how it's been showcased before it fell into Gunther's hands. I think the belt was being treated like the mid-card wrestlers sort of phase. It wasn't really setting whoever was the champ on a pedestal, and Gunther has definitely put that pedestal in place and said, I am here, I am above all of you. And in a way, he has become a kind of Roman Reigns. There isn't really anyone that can challenge him for that, So I don't really know who's going to take him down that peg. I really don't.
This is a difficult thing, isn't it? But the question is as well, I mean, Jaxie, I'll get you involved and ask you this. Is it a case of, has Gunther outgrown the Intercontinental title? Because as Gina mentioned, like, he's been a great IC champ, but he's
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's world championship material.
I mean,
this guy.
oh, for sure. I think this is definitely this current run he's having is really helped his character grow into the kind of competition that we can potentially see head towards a title run. You know, he is on Raw. I think he could have an awesome match against, you know, Seth Rollins at the moment. You know, like he'd be a viable contender, you know. It's true. I couldn't really see who else could face him right now, and really, like Monty says, bet against Gunther. So as much as Ali gave a really, really great performance. It's a real shame with Ali because he, you know, we all saw his sort of entrance into the main roster. He had the potential to be given a push, and that was knocked down a peg and then forgotten about. So it is a shame to see where, you know, he's at in terms of like his level and his career. And I know he can do so much more, but in terms of Gunther, this match really worked for him and just really worked over the fact that he is such a strong contender to be thinking about bigger and better gold, you know?
Yeah, I think without a shadow of a doubt. Right, so scores for that one then. Monty, what are you going to score it?
I think this match, I give it 4.25. The only thing that can knock it down again is probably just the believability of Ali winning. But honestly, he killed it. Like, so I have no problem. I stay 4.25.
Yeah. Gina, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for the same reason.
Yeah. And Jaxie?
I too am going to go at 4.25.
Yeah, 4.25 across the boards then for that one. Predictions, we all went Gunther. I think that's become like a safe bet. You know what I'm saying? Like we talk about predictions.
Yeah.
If Gunther's in this title match, it's going to be Gunther. So Jaxie's 3-2 up. Jaxie, at the moment, you're on course to win your first WWE pay-per of the year, but a lot can change. Kevin Owens.
Exactly.
We see Kevin Owens spitting fire to motivate Sami Zayn. I mean, how great has Kevin Owens been this past few weeks as well? LA Knight shown in the crowd. And then the Raw Women's Championship was on the line in the rematch from WrestleMania 39 when Bianca Belair took on Asuka. This immediately turned into a physical fight. They rolled around the ring trying to get the upper hand before Belair had the first major takedown. They each spent a minute or two in control before the other would take over. They kept that kind of pace for several minutes, but Asuka began to focus on hurting Belair's arm. She seemed to get comfortable in the driver's seat. The ECW hit a backbreaker to stop the Empress of Tomorrow's momentum and began a comeback, but you could hear the crowd beginning to cheer more for Asuka as the crowd progressed. Asuka missed the mist when she tried to spray Belair with it, but then as she was down, she used wiped some of the mist into it, and then when she got picked up, put it into the eyes of Belair, kicked her in the head, and then in the back. And ladies and gentlemen, your new, I say, Raw Women's Champion, it is Asuka. Unbelievable. Belair's reign ends 420 days, longest in the modern era. Gina, this was quite a surprise, wasn't it?
I mean, I'm not mad at the win. I'm just going to put that out there now. I'm not mad at the win. But I'm so annoyed. I thought Bianca was going to have a longer reign than this, so I just always, you know, backed her. But the annoying thing is I literally went with Asuka for my prediction and changed it just before I sent the predictions to you, James.
Yeah,
so I changed it back to Bianca because I was like, no, I seriously am, because I was screaming at my sister when the win happened. I'm not mad at Asuka winning. I'm actually happy. I think it's going to create a new avenue for Bianca to take her character, because she is kind of staying stagnant right now in the current position she's in. It's great, don't get me wrong. It's kind of like a Roman Reigns reign, but at the end of the day, Bianca has pretty much gone through every female in that roster, apart from the ones that they don't want her to lose to, basically, that they don't want to keep putting her up against or something. So for me, I do feel like a change needed to come for her character, and I think her losing the belt is going to ignite that change. So yeah, I'm definitely happy with Asuka's win. I'm just annoyed at my last minute change of predictions.
But this is the funny thing when we're talking about Gunther's reign and even like Roman's reign. But when it does come to an end, we still moan about it. 'Cause I wasn't ready. Like, even with this one, I'm going, no, they should have done it differently. And then I try to think, I mean, it's weird.
No,
like
I'm
that.
still not over Sami Zayn leaving the bloodline just yet. I wasn't ready for Sami's character to stop just being the character he was in the bloodline. You know, just always dancing when he comes out, thinking he's a part of the family. And
Yeah.
I'm still not over it, even though that's come and gone now. I'm still not over it.
Well, I still remember Drew McIntyre as a main event player before Clash. So, yeah, I know, it runs deep. But Jaxie, Jaxie, I've got to ask you, because Asuka, man, I know has been a point of contention, especially what happened to her back at WrestleMania, what was it, 34 now, or whatever it was. Is this a chance to have Asuka play the character that she was always destined for? I mean, what were your thoughts on this? To beat Belair's reign is a big, big deal.
It is, and I think if anyone was going to break that reign, anyone deserving it definitely was Asuka. We all know that she's deserved a title reign for quite a while now. This sudden changing in her character has really led us to believe that they have, something in mind for her going forward. And, this just, even though I felt like they may have gone longer with Bianca's reign and I went with Bianca, this really just excited me to see her pick up this win, especially with this new character that a lot of people aren't accustomed to with Asuka. So I'm really just hoping that we're going to potentially get the run that she was meant to have from coming up from NXT.
Yeah, this is what I thought. I knew you'd be happy.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, Bianca and Asuka are two of the women that are very much in my top 5. And so I don't think I would have been mad either way this went. I'm just really happy to see that not only are we getting like another title run, but from Asuka, we're getting a new character that I don't think many of us who only watch main roster stuff would have seen from her. So this, feels completely fresh, something new, and I hope they run with it for a while. So we'll see how things go.
It's going to be very, very interesting. Monty, I have just one thing to say. Do you think they're going to swap the titles now? Do you think they waited to this moment?
Please, somebody, please. I don't just do it. You don't even have to air it on television. Just let them pop up with the right belt. I just so confused. I was like, the Raw Women's Championships. I was expecting to see Asuka Monday. We didn't get that promo until Friday, so I'm just like, please switch it back. I don't know why we're continuing it, or finally, what is the wait? Why are we doing this? Do you know? Have they said any reason why Rhea is still the SmackDown Women's Champion on Raw?
They've really not explained it, and I don't understand because not remember a few years ago where to the infamous controversy that was Becky and Charlotte swapping belts and everyone up in the ring. Why couldn't we have just instantly swapped it over the minute that the draft happened? I have no idea why they're longing this out. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't get it, but again, like you guys mentioned, it was surprising, but an awesome moment for Asuka. And what I also liked was the psychological part of it. If you remember at WrestleMania, she missed the miss, and that costed her, and she lost the match. And she did it again early in this match, missed the miss when she did it that way. So she was smart enough. Okay, I'm just gonna put it on my hand and rake the eye. I just love that touch. I love the psychological part of that, just being smart enough to be like, okay, I won't be able to beat her if I just do the miss regularly. So let me do it this way and get the advantage. It was really, really smart finish. I really enjoyed that part of it. And you guys pretty much hit on it. Like, Asuka's been very deserving of it, and this is also a great catalyst. Like you talk about both characters here has so much room to grow and so much stuff that they can really do now. We have Asuka can be the dominant, monster of a champion. You never know if she's going to use the miss or she's just going to brutalize you and make you tap. And then you can have Bianca going back into kind of those NXT days, because a lot of people, it's some people who remember, James, because we watched a lot of NXT, the Bianca that was spent most of her time in NXT is completely different than the Bianca who was a babyface, kind of like John Cena, world champion here on Raw and all that. So she's gonna, I can see a little bit more of that attitude already that she's leaning into going forward. So, when the fans kind of turned on her too. So again, we can see the greatness of Bianca Belair's character to me is that the EST can always go both ways. She can be inspiring, but she also can be very, very cocky as the EST. And I can't wait to see her tap into that side of her character while she tries to chase her belt down. And again, with Asuka on top, that opens up many possibilities for, the obvious clash that everyone wants with Asuka and Io, or, you can do Asuka and Bayley again down the line. So it really, like you said, breathes new life in the women's division and gives them a fresh perspective at the top. So we'll just see after Money in the Bank, or how things turn out and where they decide to go heading forward with Asuka.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Right, so scores then. Gina, for Asuka Belair, what are you going to score out of 5?
Yeah, I gave this a 5-star match because I didn't see the ending coming and they surprised me, so I gave it 5.
Well, Jaxie, what about you?
I gave it 4 3/4.
Monty?
Yeah, I gave it 4. 4 star.
Yeah, I gave it 4 1/4. I don't think it was as good as their Mania match, but I can understand.
Yeah.
How the finish, I said very, very clever.
Right, it was a good finish.
I've moaned about finishes in the past a lot, especially when it comes to WWE, and this, like I said, was well done. Predictions, we all went Belair, so Jaxie is still in the lead, 3-2. And then we see Natalya and Rhea Ripley taking centre stage to fight over the SmackDown Women's Championship, but as usual, where Ripley went, Dominic Mysterio was not far behind. Eradicator attacked Natty right after the bell and absolutely destroyed her. She won in just a couple of minutes in what might be the closest thing we've had to a squash match on a pay-per-view in a long time. Happy birthday, Natalya. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this? Because, again, it's bad for Nat, but Ripley, looked great.
Yeah. I mean, I immediately was confused because, there was a lot of discussion, especially if anyone had watched like the pre-show or the commentary that sort of took place before. And there was a lot of adoration and love for Natalya, sort of like kind of talking about her achievements and highlights as well as just sort of the respect that she has over it there. So just to see this kind of become like a 2-minute squash match was not what I was expecting. I mean, of course, from Rhea's point of view, like it's great to see her so dominant, so like you can't really deny like how well it made Rhea look, but I also was just a little bit confused. What did Natalya do to piss everyone off backstage? Jeez. Like on her birthday as well, like fuck you, Natalya. That's what they basically said.
Was there any point to having this match here? Really?
Yeah, well, it just kind of feels pointless. It felt like a toilet break that no one knew that they should run to the toilet for because it was only 3 minutes. Their entrances took longer than the match did. So I don't really. Don't get me wrong, it looked great for Rhea, but I just feel like we could have had a decent match out of the two, but we just didn't.
No. All right, so scores for that. Jaxie, start us off. How were you going to score that match? It wasn't 5-star.
I mean, I'm going to give it a 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to say on it.
There's not a lot. You've done the best you can, I will admit there. Gina, what about you out of 5?
This is really hard because I really like Rhea and she always kind of gives a 5-star match, but it went so short. I can't really give it that much. It's like 3 and 3.5.
It's a tough one. Monty, you must have really enjoyed this.
Come on. First of all, you guys are being generous. You both said 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The match itself was 1 minute and 9 seconds. The entrances may make it 2-3 minutes,
wow.
but it was just 1 minute and 9 seconds. First of all.
Well,
Second of all,
telling me that was even worse. That's even
Yes.
worse than
It
what
was a little bit over a minute, not multiple minutes. And second of all, Natty is, like you guys mentioned, she's pretty much a legend when it comes to this women's division. How long she's been around, all the stuff she's accomplished. And this is one thing I know about Natty. The stories may not ever be there for her. They never really creatively ever gave her anything that interesting if you think about it. If you just think about Natalya's career and think about creative, it's always been shoddy at best. But if there's one thing I always knew about Nat is that she can give competitive matches and pretty decent, pretty decently constructed matches. So to see her just not even get a chance to do anything just because, and Dominic's going to be there. So being distracted by Dominic is also pretty stupid too. So Natty looks like an idiot and she looks like a Trump because she lost in a minute. And it just, it was kind of sad from that point of view for me. So I honestly, you want me to rate this? I'll give it what it win. It went 1 minute. I give it 1 star.
I'm gonna give it 2.5, just because. All right, I don't have to give any reasons. Predictions.
This was a segment, man.
Yeah. This was a segment. This should have just been a
not a match
segment. You should have just had Natty being interviewed backstage and Rhea just took her out and then the ref was like, no, it's not going to happen,
Well, we all went Ripley prediction-wise, so it means Jaxie is 4-3 up against the rest with just 2 matches going. Of course, we've already had one main event earlier, and Seth was very happy with his win, and we've got 2 more main events to go. The penultimate match was Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes. For anybody that didn't see, I mean, Monty, you did change your prediction on this because you saw a bit of the press conference with Cody Rhodes. Why did you change
I saw
your
him
opinion?
in a sling. Okay, so originally I was like, okay, Cody, Cody beat Seth 3 times. Why not? They're going to put him over strong. But see, I haven't been able to catch all of Ross, but I knew he got attacked with the Kimura. But then I saw in the sling, I saw Michael Cole grilling Triple H like, Cody Rhodes has a broken arm and you're letting him fight. I'm like, you said he has a what? And I seen him in the sling. I was like, oh, hell no, he's not beating Brock Lesnar with a broken arm. So I just said, please let me switch my pick, Dave, please.
Well,
I had to switch.
Might have been a fair choice. The Beast Incarnate made his way out first. When Rhodes came out, he received a massive reception from the crowd. I mean, Jaxie, you talk about Cody Rhodes. Has there been a hotter kind of babyface / good guy in the past 5 years to sell the merch, to get that reaction, and still not be as successful? He lost these big match, and yet the fans still love him.
You just got to keep questioning what the hell WWE have planned for him because, they have him in all of these great positions where he's at his top, at his hype, really won over all of the crowd. And each time you're just having him lose. So it's like, well, what are you because you're going to end up squashing this hype that is currently behind him soon to the point where everyone's just like, well, he's a joke because he talks all this talk and just keeps losing. He never wins gold. So
they're going to I can't remember. They're going to McIntyre him, aren't they?
Where is he drafted? Is he on Raw? Because if he's on Raw, then that basically just means that he's going to, potentially go against Seth, and it's kind of like, okay, so he got relegated to that because he couldn't even finish off Roman. So it's like, how much hype really should is going to continue to stay behind him? So yeah, it's just questionable in terms of the when it comes to WWE creatives and what they have, running up for Cody, especially when you get him in positions where, like with Brock Lesnar, he's broken his arm. So how long will he be out? Will we actually see him in promos, or will he be out for a bit again? Because then that's going to also put a stamper in the current hype that he has behind him. So all of these factors are just kind of not adding up to or even working in his favor right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, Rhodes came out with his arm wrapped in a brace, and Lesnar looked like a Predator Zero and an already injured prey. American Nightmare tried to use his quickness to avoid him, but his rival was able to corner him for a hit and a belly-to-belly suplex. Rhodes, and I love this in wrestling, Rhodes started using his cast as a weapon, and the babyface always does that when he looks at the crowd and it's like, look what I've just found, and he's just twatting Lesnar with it around the ring with huge forearm strikes. He nailed him with a suicide dive, climbed to the top for a double axe handle as well, but the Beast grabbed him the Kimura lock and rolled over so Rhodes couldn't escape as he did at Backlash. American Nightmare made it to the rope to force a break and countered to a crossroads for a close 2 count, but Lesnar put him back in the Kimura and the ref called for the bell once it was clear Rhodes was unable to fight back. Monty, what did they say about a one-armed man and an ass-kicking contest? But again, this was, I thought this was quite good for a second chapter, though.
Yeah, again, the match was fine. I thought, like you mentioned, it definitely had the crowd into it, which I'm not saying I was surprised that Cody was that over in Saudi Arabia or this match was that over. But, again, everyone was really invested, and they actually did a good job at the beginning, in my opinion, of telling a pretty decent. And I understood the story they were trying to tell. The problem is they kind of went a little overkill for me. And this is someone who's broken bones before. I've broken my ankle. It's just like, all right, you guys need to change up what his injury is, because there's no way Cody Rhodes can survive. I know this is wrestling. I get it. I'm not being one of those people. I understand. But at some point, you got professional wrestling, and at some point you have reality. And in reality, there's no way you can be in a Kimura lock for 5+ minutes. Even though the Kimura is not even something that breaks arms, it puts a lot of pressure on your shoulder. But if you have a broken arm and someone is reaching on your shoulder, I'm telling you, that does not feel good. It's just bones are supposed to be broken there. So again, the suspension of disbelief there kind of took me out of it after a while, even though I already understood what they were trying to get across. They're trying to get across that Cody is one tough SOB, and Brock Lesnar had to take advantage of something that he did, prior to their match to beat him. So again, it does make Cody look strong. I get that. Cody definitely looks strong here, and that's the entire goal. But a little bit of the theatrics. Sometimes, that's the thing with Cody Rhodes. Sometimes Cody's drama can be perfect cinema and all that, and sometimes it's like, okay, you're going a little overboard there, Cody. All right, So again, to me, I kind of lost the match a little bit once he sat in that Kimura lock for 5+ minutes. But again, I got it. I understood the finish, and also passing out from Kimura lock. I understand Cody. Cody doesn't lose anything if he actually taps here, guys. I just want to let you know. He has a broken fucking arm. Are you really going to be mad at Cody if he tapped out? So why does he pass out from – this is not something that cuts your circulation off. Why is he passing out from just like Stone Cold when he passed out from the sharpshooter? It had nothing to do with pain. He was losing blood from his head. You see what I'm saying? Like, let's come on now. Let's stir up this psychology, because I may be nitpicking, but it does mean a little bit of something, like when we're talking about realism here. So, yeah, that's the only thing I really hated about the match. But other than that, I got it, and it was pretty good. They got the story across.
But this is the same Jaxie mentioned in the last pod as well. It's like, how unlucky can Cody be? It's like,
right.
Before,
right.
And then injury prone and all this kind of stuff. And also, what it looks like as well, for Money in the Bank is, Cody's, I don't think, involved in any Money in the Bank matches, so he's not going to be involved
Qualified,
in the match. And also,
so they're just taking him out of the title picture.
Yeah, and he's an open challenge to Brock, but Brock has never been to a London show, so I don't see it happening in Money in the Bank. It's interesting. I mean, Gina, what were your thoughts on this match with Cody and Brock?
I mean, my thoughts were very similar to both Monty and Jaxie's thoughts, to be honest. I even remember watching it and saying to my sister, I think Cody's one of those, I don't remember the word that they use for him, but people who get off on pain.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
masochist.
That's it, masochist. Yeah, I couldn't think of the word. I was like, I actually think that he's a bit of a masochist. Don't get me wrong, this is not me trying to slate Cody in any way. I like Cody. I thought he gave a good match, just like he always has. But it's like, in my head, I kind of had pictured Cody backstage going, no, I'm not going into this pay-per-view without an injury. So someone give me a fucking injury, okay? I'm going into this pay-per-view with an injury. And for some reason, I just have it in my head that that's all he cares about, because he wants to be seen as, yeah, I got this injury and I can still take this beating. So what? But it's, in my eyes, it's not benefiting him in any way. He's just kind of like coming out the short end of the stick. And like my sister said, he's just going to end up off for injuries, and people's hype about him is going to end up being more hype about, oh, here's the injury guy.
The thing is, it will be more Monty Python where he comes out without a leg and he goes, "'Tis just a scratch."
It's just a scratch. Literally, that is it. So I literally said to my sister, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got brandy with the whole, like, tub of just, like, gear or branding shit to hurt him because he's just a masochist. He just wants the pain. So yeah, and God knows he's a madman, but I wholeheartedly agree with Monty. I have broken my arm twice in the same place, and being in an arm lock like that, I'm sorry, I am not lasting like 10 seconds before tapping. It's just, it felt a little unrealistic to me. But the match itself was good and entertaining, but there were points that I'd sit there and be like, yeah, that's ridiculous. And that's why maybe wrestling do get those haters sometimes going, yeah, wrestling's not fake, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's annoying because obviously it's not. People do get injuries, hence Cody's arm injury. But then there are times like that in the match where you're just like, yeah, this right here is just stupid.
This is the thing. Jaxie, please tell me you've broken your arm to keep up the tradition with the other two. And I like this more than Backlash. I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah, I have. So
Yes.
we've all been there
there
then.
Get in there.
Yeah,
Bonus
through
point.
being stupid then. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, my thoughts were pretty much the same as both Monty and my sisters. I kind of didn't really think that this match was going to go that long, especially because of everything to do with Cody's arm. I too felt like it was a bit ridiculous at the fact that, you're meant to make us all believe that you really wouldn't tap if your arm was really broken like that. So, yeah, I'm just, again, it goes back to what I originally was saying with this match, going into it, that I'm just not too sure what they're planning to do with Cody or where they're planning to take him from here. But right now, this is not really looking good for him. And like the booking just needs to kind of be better if they're looking to push him.
So, scores then. Monty, what will you score this out of 5?
Yeah, I give it 3 3/4. 3 3/4.
Gina?
3.5.
And Jaxie?
I gave it 3.5 too.
I gave it a 4. I liked this more than Backlash, and I'm going to stick by it. Predictions? Well, this...
Never broke your bones? Never broke your bones?
Oh, do you know what? I have, but I just don't want to show off about it. Like, I mean, who hasn't? I've broken up both arms, shoulders, everything. Like, yeah, like full body cast me.
Ooh.
But I don't like to go
Wow,
on about
they had to
it.
wheel you out of there, huh?
Hey, tell you that. Tell you that. Anyway, predictions. Things have changed. Jaxie and Gina went for Brock Lesnar. James and... No, that's wrong. I've got this wrong here. What have I done here? Predictions. James and Monty, I think, went Brock. Jaxie and Gina went Cody. So that does change stuff now. I've just got the names wrong around. It panicked me for a second there. So it does...
No, I went Brock. I went Brock.
Did you go
I
Brock?
went Brock, yeah.
Did everybody go Brock?
Everybody
Yeah.
went Brock.
Everybody went Brock.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Let me have a look then.
Yeah, I went Brock.
You sure everybody went Brock on that one?
No, I'm checking my
Definitely. I'm
notes.
looking at my
and-
Okay, I'm
notes.
gonna have a look
I'm
now.
looking
and
at
my
my notes.
message.
Hang on a minute. Speak. I
I'm,
can have a quick
I'm
look
trusting
here.
you guys. I don't know.
Hang on.
No, I mean, I sent my messages to James. He can double
I
check
was
the
going to
messages.
say,
They
he
say
could double
sent.
check his
Yeah, I'm
message
double
of
checking
us
as we
sending
check.
them.
Right. So you both. So if you hang on a minute. Let me work this out. So you both went Brock. It doesn't change anything, I don't think. So it was
Never
Jaxie on 4, rest on 3. So that would be Jaxie on 5, rest on 4. So let me just see. Hang on a minute. Like, whilst you talk between you, let me just see what if that changes the final scores on here. So
Yeah, I broke my skateboard. So There you go.
Yeah, that's great.
Young kids.
Talk about, yeah. Well, so
nice
I
kick flip.
mean, I put my pre-order in for Final Fantasy 16.
Sweet.
Woo!
Same here.
Excited.
Can't wait.
I put my pre-order in for Assassin's Creed Mirage because I'm an Assassin's Creed mark.
Nice.
That's all I do. I just
Awesome. I'm gonna definitely be pre-ordering that myself, but considering it's like coming out 10 days after my birthday, I'm also hoping to just ask for it for my birthday.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hidden Blade, baby. Hidden Blade.
Yeah, that one's going to be a
But-
good one, definitely. I need to catch up and play Valhalla now because I haven't played
Yeah,
Valhalla.
I completely.
Yeah, most people
Final
haven't finished it. I'm like in the middle of it, so I'm still playing it.
Dude, I completed the main story, and I'm still trying to get through all of the DLC. Do you know how much DLC is for it?
Yeah, it's insane. Like,
Yeah.
I know they got like a $40 one. I think the Ragnarok one, I think, is like $40.
Yeah. I mean, don't
I'll
get
buy
me
it,
wrong. Each DLC has not disappointed. It's been great storylines, worth playing through. So I don't regret playing through it and the amount of hours I've put into it. But yeah, it's a lot of content compared to the previous.
It's a big ass game, man. It's like I've already
my
spent
issue
100
is
hours
though,
in it, and I'm only halfway through.
I've literally only just finished Origins. I want to hurry up and go to Valhalla, but I haven't played Odyssey yet.
You never played Odyssey? Oh man.
No. Well, I've literally just finished Origins.
Cassandra.
They're definitely starting to connect.
Sorry to interrupt everybody. If people want to hear that, then that's what we got to do before the pod. So, if anybody wants to hear that, email me and we'll do that instead of the wrestling. All right? So it's up to you guys. You do what you want. So basically, look at the scores. Yes, everything is different now, but it's fine. We're back on track. So it means after that, we all went Brock. So Jaxie's on 5. The rest are on 4. And we move on to the main event of the night, which saw Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa team up to challenge Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the undisputed tag team champions. Sami Zayn wore a special entrance tie and gave himself and KO a special introduction in Arabic, much to the delight of the crowd. We haven't seen Sami and KO at an event, but this seemed to mean an awful lot to Sami. I mean, Jaxie, this was a lovely moment for him, wasn't it?
It really was. It was a really feel-good moment to see sort of the level of respect that he, received from the audience, but also just the level of respect he had for them too. So it was a really nice and humble moment. You got to give Sami that.
Yeah, lovely. So we'll move on, like we said, to the main event, and we had to start us off Owens and Reigns for their teams, but KO tagged out so Zayn could face off with the Tribal Chief. After listening to the crowd chant for Zayn, Reigns tagged Sikoa in to a chorus of boos. It took a few minutes after the bell for anyone to make contact. Sikoa backed Zayn into the corner and brushed off a chop like it had no impact. He responded by beating down the masked strategist in the corner. The Tribal Chief allowed Sikoa to do most of the heavy lifting, while he occasionally provided a distraction or attacked someone while the ref was distracted. When it was his turn to get the ring, he took it to his former ally with no remorse. WWE gave them a long time and made sure to pack in a lot of dramatic moments, including a ref bump where Reigns speared him by mistake. The Usos appeared and attacked Owens at ringside. They tried to hit Zayn with a double super kick, but they hit Solo by accident. I felt every one of us going, oh, you fucked it now, haven't you? It was like, we've seen that in wrestling so many times. But at the moment, I was just like, oh, shit. The Tribal Chief was pissed and started pushing the twins around. And if there's one thing Roman should have learned, is never turn your back on the people in the ring. Because much like Seth and much like Sami, Jimmy drilled Reigns with a super kick. And Jay yelled at him. Jimmy said he was doing what Jay should have done a long time ago and kicked Reigns again. Jimmy got a conflicted Jay to leave with him as Sikoa started getting to his feet. KO took him out with a stunner, and Zayn followed up with a haluva kick. A new ref showed up and counted the pin. Oh my God, I can't believe Jimmy did it. Gina, talk about long-term storytelling. Jay even calling him Joe when Reigns was knocked to the outside. This was epic.
Yeah, you got to give it to the entire bloodline. Their acting is just amazing and on point. Can I just say really quick, when the twins hit Solo, me and my sister, we always picture ourselves as the twins and Solo as our little sister. And we were just like, quick, pick it Solo up and just hush him up before mom and dad here. Quick, tell him, we didn't mean it, we didn't mean it. That part just had me like laughing and also screaming, no! Because I just knew what was coming. More shit was going to hit the fan from here. And I'm just so invested in this storyline. Again, it is long-term storytelling going all the way back to sort of COVID era where they had no one in the crowds and you just had Roman bullying Jay the entire time, you know, and when Jimmy eventually came back and he tried to sort of like big Jay back up again to be like, you're your own man, you're not someone's like little lapdog. And it's just like Jimmy's like actually the one taking action here, saying, look, this is what you should have done long time ago. So this long time storytelling, again, is just perfect by the bloodline. Their acting is amazing. And it was just so entertaining. I was invested as if it was my family.
I think we are. And Jaxie, again, this is weird because our first episode together was, I think, Night of Champions or a Clash of Champions. And it was like September of 2020, Roman versus Jay. And do you think since we've been doing this pod together, the story has kind of peaked at this point, and here we are at Night of Champions 2023, and we've just had that? It's kind of amazing to think about that, you know?
It feels like it's coming full circle, you know? Like you say about long-term storytelling, but it feels like it's going back full circle. You know, I think, was it the same night of Champions back then that Jimmy came running out to actually, like, you know, just plead with his brother to like quit or something because it was an I quit match or something. Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of irony in the fact that it's Jimmy that delivered this, you know, super kick to Roman to kind of solidify them not winning the match. So I don't see how anyone couldn't be invested in this match or this story telling. At the moment, I'm just intrigued to see where things are going to go from here because, you know, as much as we as the audience could say that was an honest mistake that the twins kicked their brother, we don't know what sort of mood Solo's going to be in. We've seen his loyalty to Roman, and is, you know, the bigger question now is, are we going into an era where it's Solo having to choose between Roman and his brothers, which is very intriguing.
Yeah. I mean, this has just been pure cinema. I mean, Monty, you were there at the Rumble watching it when, of course, Sami Zayn did what he did. And I honestly, and I'm not blaming predictions for this, but the reason why I picked Bloodline part in part is because I thought for Roman to lose, it had to be something kind of major like this. And they did it. And I'm, again, shocked that maybe this happened Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. But again, the Bloodline story just keeps, when you think they've peaked, it just goes up another level, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, exactly. When you think it's over, or when you think they have nowhere left to go, or it's running out of gas, they've done a good job of finding a way to still scratch that itch that this storyline has continued to scratch. And honestly, I don't think it's going to end until we get a united front, like Jay and Jim. Like the fact that Jay is still so conflicted here really leads me to believe that this is we're still going to have many legs as long as the Usos are conflicted about it and not like, no, what, screw him. He's been using us. He treats us like dirt when things don't go his way and whatever. He has this weird God complex because let's just be honest, Roman at this point is peak paranoid. He's out of his damn mind if we really be honest about it. But, it's been, like you said, it's been some of the most compelling stuff ever. And they've been really, really consistent at it. The writing and like you said, the acting, everything has just been top tier stuff. And I think, as a matter of fact, the Usos were already Hall of Famers, in my opinion. Like even just as a tag team, they were already there. Yeah. But this Bloodline storyline is literally going to be the calling card to where you feel like this whole family, all four of them, may have already etched their name in history forever just because of how epic and how awesomely executed this storyline has been. And like you mentioned, yeah, it was really shocking. I just knew that my whole thing was, I thought if Roman won the tag belts, it's a little bit overkill, and you kind of undo all of that work you just did with Sammy and Kevin. And then I'm like, so I was like, no, keep the belts on them. But you were right. It was like, how are they going to do that? And I wasn't really expecting it. But this is something else. The Usos, I think if you would go to old interviews, you'll see Jimmy, I think is a couple minutes, I believe, older than Jay. So he has the big situation going on here in this stuff. So you can kind of see him take over, like, wow, you mushing Jay, still disrespecting us. You already challenging for our belts. But that's another thing. I think that's what really started this, the fact that this is the Usos, these are the Usos titles, and now you're trying to step and take our belts and then, kind of dismiss us and keep giving us the runaround. So they've done a really good job. Even with Roman's absences, they've done a really good job of keeping people invested, keeping this thing going. And like I said, everything just lined up. The stars aligned perfectly for that moment and for the finish. And then I love it at the end, Sami Zayn holding the belts above his head, staring right at Roman, and like his post online after it saying he may have lost the battle, but he's won the war because he felt like the bloodline is over. So it was just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. And I can only commend them. I can't commend them enough just at how good everybody has been.
I mean, the thing is, as well, we talk about the bloodline story, but Sami Zayn's story as well, of him saying to Roman, I'm going to be the one that breaks the bloodline, and all this kind of stuff. And he has, the first time Roman's lost, I know he wasn't pinned, but, in a match that he lost for the first time in God knows how long. And now we've seen, the Usos listen to Sami. Sami was right. And as Sami has said since, now he can kind of move on because he's shown everybody what Roman he really was. So when you put that together with, like you said, the Jay and Jimmy thing with Roman there, it's just kind of classic, And again, Triple H, I think, mentioned this on SmackDown, but this is something we'll be talking for generations to come, and especially this storyline as well. And we were lucky enough to actually review it, watch it live and then review it just a few days later. So score-wise for the main event, Gina, this out of 5. I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's a 5.
Yeah, I think Jaxie would be the same.
I gave it a 5 too.
Monty?
Yeah, 100%. It's a 5, and I think even though the work of the match you've probably seen greater tag matches work-wise, but storytelling, once again, no one is doing it better right now, man.
Well, predictions, this is what fucked me here, but I did go for the Bloodline. The rest went for KO and Sami, so it means the final scores for this are, I am on 4, Monty Gina on 5, so it means Jaxie with 6 points. You have won your first WWE show of the year. There you go.
I finally pick up a win. Yes. This is just the beginning of my comeback. Watch, James. Watch this space.
Well, at this moment in time, it means for the WWE Pay-Per-View Prediction League, then Jaxie is on 1, Hot in the Hills with Gina on 2, and Monty's on 2 as well. I am in a lead with 3. Let's hope I can pick it up for Battleground. As for the event in the whole, excuse me, we are going to go round. Jaxie, start us off. What would be your match of the night and MVP?
My match of the night is clearly the main event, the KO and Sami match versus Roman and Solo. I gave 2 MVPs of the night. My first one was to Asuka because I did not see that that ending coming, and I think it was like a really great showcase for her and for her to pick up the title win. I think she really shone. But I also gave an MVP shout out to Jimmy because finally taking that step of I'm no longer living under your tyrant rule. We don't know whether things are going to go from here, but Jimmy has now kicked things off. So, yeah, I gave him the MVP too.
And I'll tell you another thing about Jimmy I loved. After he kicked Roman, that kind of grunt and the growl of aggression. And I've had the anger like that before. And to get it out of your system after you've done it, is one of those moments. Gina,
You could just see the adrenaline rushing
Yes.
through him, you know?
Yeah, really, really good stuff. Gina, MVP and match, please.
I literally have the same match as the final tag match of the night. I gave my MVP to Oscar because, again, she shocked me and I didn't see that twist coming at the end of that match. And I also gave a special shout out to, even though he didn't have a match, Jimmy, because I think Jimmy just came out and shined in that final match.
And Monty, what about you for match and MVP?
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with anything you guys said. Definitely match of the night, tag team main event. I went a different route with my MVP. I went with Sami Zayn. It's just, again, it's so, I can't even begin to explain why it's so important and why it was such a big deal for him to be in Saudi Arabia, to have that moment, to be speaking Arabian in front of that crowd. It was just an awesome moment for one of the best people in this business. If you know anything about Sami Zayn, he's just an awesome person. So to see him get that moment, and for all the many years, for the last few years, every time there's a Saudi Arabia show, everyone was always wondering, oh goodness, what is Sami going to be able to go, or is this person going to be able to go? So to be able to get this type of reaction and to be able to be as over as he was in that situation, I just thought it was awesome, because I don't think it's been spoken on enough at how much of a big deal it is that Sami Zayn was in Saudi Arabia and was able to have that experience.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. So rating out of 10 then. Jaxie, start us off. What would you rate Night of Champions?
I mean, I thought it was actually probably the best pay-per-view there that we've had. So I gave it an 8.
Give it an 8. Gina, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's the best show that I've seen in Saudi. So for me, because it was so entertaining, I gave it a 9.
Give it a 9. Monty, what would you score that one?
Yeah, like you said, the only real downside was like poor Natty. That's how the only thing I can say is poor Natty. So yeah, 8.5, man, is probably where I'll go. And I will say this, second best show of that weekend, in my opinion. We'll talk about the others later.
I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10, just because of how monumental. I always talk about what happened on the show that mattered, and to crown a new world champion and to see Jimmy finally do that to Roman, I think is worth the price of admission alone. So finally, before we go, we got some Raw notes and SmackDown notes. On Raw, not a lot happened. I'm not going to lie. Ricochet and Nakamura qualified for Money in the Bank. That was about it. Cody wants an open challenge. We're waiting for Brock to answer the open challenge. It won't be London. I won't get my hopes up. SmackDown, June 2nd. Monty, why ruin Pretty Deadly's entrance theme? No, boy. No,
Did you...
boy. Why? Why?
I thought you would like that horrible sound. I don't know. We're pretty deadly, or whatever they were saying. It was. I don't know, but I love that they're winning and they're doing their great heel tactics. Hopefully, everyone's paying attention. I love that they're winning.
Who would have thought Theory and Pretty Deadly would have worked so well? But they have been, like I said, beating the brutes on SmackDown. LA Knight and Zelina Vega qualify for Money in the Bank. LA Knight may be the favourite because
over.
Fuck all else. There's fuck all else on that match.
They were booing Montez.
I know. And the big news was celebrating Roman Reigns' 1,000-day reign, and it appears the Bloodline story will conclude the way it started, with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso at odds. We saw Triple H compare Reigns to Michael Jordan. I think he's a basketball player. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into it. I'm joking.
Wow.
I'm joking. He plays baseball. I saw it in Space Jam. He claims WWE fans.
He did.
Yeah, he did. We'll talk about the Tribal Chief run for generations. The Kingpin presented Reigns with a new Universal Championship, complete with a gold background. Because, Gina, we need another title. It's only been a week since they introduced another one. Come on. What are your thoughts on the new Universal title?
I mean, okay. The good news. I like the gold. I thought the gold was really nice in the background of the. I thought it made it look more like a prestigious belt by adding that gold. Yeah, that's it for the niceties of it.
He's
The other one was like, oh my God, another belt. And in my eyes, I'm like, okay, right. So this means we're taking the 2 away and giving him this one. But then he's handing the one belt he's holding to Paul Heyman. And I'm like, okay, Paul, now hand them to Triple H so he can dash them from the bin.
Please.
Please. But Paul kept on to them both. And I was like, okay, so are you going to do this exchange backstage then? Are those belts going to be dashed? Is it just going to be this one? Because they didn't actually clarify this one belt is going to take over both of these belts. He literally just said, this is the new Universal.
We also just meant to just ignore the elephant in the room, which is, so ultimately no one could beat Roman for one of those belts. So they've just had to solidify it into one. So basically no one's ever going to be able to like really go for either belt now. There's no way of him like double losing or anything like that, you know?
The thing is as well is the Universal title is the one with the long reign. So have they efficiently got rid of the WWE Championship that has been around since 1963 now? Or have they, like you said, unified both? And the lineage
or no,
is now
they'll bring it out next WrestleMania and be like, here's a new belt.
What belt? Cody must be going, what belt do I win? What belt do I win now? None of them.
I mean, ultimately, I think this is going to lead down to Jay being the one to take Roman down, in my eyes. Well, but yeah, the introduction of this belt kind of was just giving me a bit of a headache. You know, one of those really annoying headaches that lives behind your eyeball. You know, one of those, it just started doing that. And anytime I hear anything about a new belt, I think that headache's going to return. Because I'm just so confused on belt changeovers, new belts being introduced, but saying they're on the same prestige as the main belt, but then not being treated on that same
being
prestige.
On Raw, but the Raw belt being on SmackDown.
It's a mess.
And also, can we also, like, I swear, aren't the NXT tag belts now on the main roster too?
Don't. We're going to try and
don't start.
We're going to try and do that. We're going to try and I don't know how we're going to explain it, but
honestly,
what the fuck was that video?
Causing mad panic now.
Nah, but y'all gave Solo the North American Championship just for the next day you to take it off him and vacate it. So why are these NXT tag belts allowed on the main roster now then?
And why
because there's no other tag team.
True Detective, like they've got True Detective videos that they're doing, and they're tag team champion. I don't know what's going on. I thought there's a Viking Raiders, but it's Dawn and Fire. It's like, but anyway, speaking of tag teams, the Usos interrupted the proceedings of Roman Reigns' 1,000-day celebration. Reigns demanded Jay. I mean, Reigns is just like, he's like, Jay, kick him in the face. I'm not saying anything else. Just kick him in the fucking kick him in the face. Kick him in the fucking face.
Right.
Kick him in the face.
The minute they got into the ring, right, and Roman, is calling him, kick him in the face. Yeah. Like, my face dropped, and I was like, if he'd have said that to me and my sister, we would have both just stopped and stared at him. And I'd have just thought, the audacity of this bitch for actually even thinking I actually do that to my sister instead of him.
Well, it's what I'm saying. And Jimmy...
I mean, she would kick me in the face, but on her own terms.
Oh, my God.
I did want to say, in the world, like, if I was Roman Reigns and, like, you two, I was worried, like, you'd both double super kick me. And it wouldn't take 3 years. It would be like a week. And it would just be done. I have faith in that. Yeah. Even if Monty was solo in this situation, he would have spiked me. Like, that's how...
Exactly. I mean, just there would have been no hesitation behind it, to be honest.
Well, Jimmy said to Roman he's the one that needs fixing. Sikoa appeared to have chosen his brother over Reigns, but the camera work and the body language gave the impression something was up. Solo, again, becoming over. And it's hard to think, Monty, that this is the same guy in NXT, what was it, a year and a half, couple of years ago, that we were going was good. And now, like a future main eventer, just standing there, not saying anything. Employing Ray running atop the W mountain as a bloodline. Jimmy embraced his cousin, only to be... and again, Roman here, like the tears in his eyes as he gave the hug to Jimmy as well, was just sensational. With Roman, and then Roman being a dick and just going, no. And
no.
Sakawa.
So hard at that.
Oh my God. Sakawa spiking Jimmy. And then again, we thought that would be it. But no, as they came out the ring and walking up the entranceway, Paul Heyman asked, what about Jay? And Roman saying, Jay's going to do what he always does and fall in line.
Fall in line.
Oh my God. There's a camera pan to the right-hand man holding his fallen brother
Honestly.
in his arms. So Jay will have
It literally felt like, you know, like the ending of Infinity War, and everyone just get pissed because they got to wait like a year and a half now to see the next part. Like that's how it ended with the whole "what about Jay?" Because I immediately just like perked up and was like, "Well, what the fuck about Jay? What about him? What next? Don't end there. What are you doing?" No, this is
just poor Jay. Jay needs therapy. He needs all types of shit.
Jay's
like,
in the ring shaking.
The most stressed out.
Yeah.
PTSD going straight back to United Champions for him when he went one-on-one. You know, PTSD is just coming back round. I mean, and again, speaking as a sibling, that was heartbreaking to watch Solo just kind of, you know, faking it to his brothers and then turning on them. And going with his cousin. Like my sister said, we tend to see us two as the Usos and our youngest sister as Solo. So even though she doesn't watch wrestling, we both made sure to make the next day a living hell for her just because we felt like she irritated us. So this is all on Solo. So this is on you. This is the reason why the youngest got bullied for a day. Right? So that is your fault. That whole day is on you.
Solo, you might want to send my sister an apology because she got picked on.
Yeah,
but again,
well, I know who you guys' sister gonna choose if you ever make them make a choice.
She just knows not to betray us again. Even though she didn't really do it,
she didn't even do it.
Monty, literally keep him on your good side.
She knows never to even contemplate it now, Monty. You know, we made sure she knew that was never going to be an option.
But the beauty of this story as well is they could have quite easily have said, you know, on SmackDown, Roman says to the Usos, well, you cost us, we'll face you in this match at the next pay-per-view. But instead, they're building towards Usos and Solo and Reigns by going to have whatever we have in the next couple of months as well. So that is going to be
especially with a lot of teasing that is the teasing that's now been implied since that Raw episode with coming from the great Rikishi himself. Like, I don't know if this is just a tease or whether or not we might see him pop up. I'm not saying in a match, but just maybe on television for a promo or getting himself involved in this bloodline feud. But, you know, I'd be all here for it if that is the case. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out on Rikishi's page, you know, seeing if he's dropping any more hints anytime soon.
Well, the thing is, Jay will have to defend his brother as he did back in 2020 when the bloodline first formed under the Iron Fist at the head of the table. But to do so, he will have to tear down the same united front he begged all involved to keep intact. So good luck, Jay. But again, it is going to be great storytelling. So that is it then for Night of Champions.
Again, like you just ended it on saying about great storytelling, but you know, if we go back like a month and a half ago back to WrestleMania, like Jimmy and Jay were like getting booed consistently, and now look at the turn of the tables within just even a month of half of storytelling on getting everyone on their side again. You know, it's just so intriguing to see how a storyline that can last this long can consistently have you chopping and changing between who you're really rooting for and who you want coming out of this feud. You know,
without that, and also another thing, even with doing the pod, it feels like we are doing chapters to the story, and people even listening, once it's over, can go back and put all the pieces together. Like I said, from Rumble, Elimination Chamber, even back to when we first started doing this.
Exactly.
Right, so that is it. I don't think we've got anything else to talk about here, so don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast, I'm at the WNRJR. You can find the entire WNR team on Twitter banner. Monty, where can people find and listen to you?
You can type in Mind of Monty on YouTube, or you can go to @MindMontyPod on Twitter. Click the link in the bio. Listen to some of my old podcasts. I will be trying my best to do a mini recap on the Best of Super Juniors. I didn't even watch every match. I watched the final, and I got a chance to watch a couple matches. because I have a new baby. So New Japan definitely had to move out of the way a little bit. But I'm going to do my best to get a solo podcast out at some point. I do not have a date. Bear with me and my daughter. She takes a lot of my time, and that is what she deserves. So you guys will just have to be patient. But thank you. Please check out any link you can.
Queen. She's a queen.
Jaxie, where can people find you?
I'm on both Instagram and Twitter at Jaxie Scarlett.
Yeah, if you want to be found. I'm not saying that people, like whatever. You can be. It's fine.
No
Gina,
pressure.
Gina, what about you?
You can find me on both at Purple Pain with an E on the end.
Perfectly. Double also on Facebook and Instagram across all Google platforms. Send us an email, podcast at gmail.com, and YouTube done podcast with latest clips and podcasts got at the same time on YouTube. To do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Our next episode at this moment penciled in for Tuesday. And like I said, hopefully we're going to do NXT Update, which will be Battleground, which I've actually written down as deadline here, which shows you how far behind we are with NXT, Monty.
Wow. It's a really good point. Man. That's a good point.
Don't worry. Because
I watched it, though, so we can do it.
Exactly. Well, hopefully we will catch up. And next weekend, because a lot of people are asking about as well, next weekend will be Double or Nothing 2023. But until then, I've been Jay's Rollers.
Yeah.
By the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thank you very much for joining me, and congratulations on your win.
It's been fun. It's been absolutely epic to make my first win and watch this space for many more wins to come.
Exactly. We've had the mind of Monty. Monty, thank you for being on. And again, fantastic news. Congratulations on the birth of your beautiful baby daughter as well.
Thank you so much. And I can't wait for the next one.
And see you later, Gina. So that's basically it for the podcast.
Bitter.
That was a big
Thanks
move.
for having me, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's all right. God, I really popped myself for that one. I'm sorry. It's always a
you
pleasure.
could get a punch in the throat in London soon enough. Don't worry.
I don't know why I'm doing it. No, the genius of Gina. Thank you very much as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
Salute, Jim. Salute.
That's it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.